What do you make about the ongoing conversation now about reopening versus staying put?
I think it's time to consider the possibility, Shannon, that this lockdown, as opposed to the more moderate mitigation efforts, that this lockdown is a colossal public policy calamity, that the damage to the economy, to businesses, I see, businesses are closing, many may not reopen, those jobs will be lost, those businesses will be lost, those incomes will be lost, plus the effect on children who don't have their normal life, they don't have school, they can't play with their friends, even outdoors. All these things are accumulating. They're not going to get better, Shannon. They're going to get worse with time. And as I say, many of them, we may not recover from many of these losses for a very long time, if ever. And there is not, to my knowledge, really powerful evidence that imposing this lockdown, apart from over and above the other mitigation efforts, is making any real difference. I have my doubts that it's making any difference at all. We don't know everything there is to know about this disease, but we know a lot more than we did. And one thing that we seem to know pretty clearly is who is most vulnerable and who is least vulnerable. The evidence that children are vulnerable to this is very limited, if it exists at all. Most of the evidence points the other way. So that deals with the question of whether they should be able to go back to school with, the teachers and so on taking appropriate precautions. And the other thing is we know that the elderly are overwhelmingly more vulnerable than almost any other group. In fact, than any other group. And it seems to me that protecting the elderly and keeping them at home if necessary, and also those with respiratory problems, is something we could certainly continue to do while allowing everybody else to get on with their business.
Why do you think this is presented in so many forums as a binary choice? You either care about the health and medical side of this, or you care about the economy and that side of it. And there's a lot of finger pointing across that chasm.
Well, we live in a country which is divided along a great chasm of their politics. The people who, a lot of the people who want to see this continue as is, if you drill down in what they say and examine sort of who they are and what else they've said, it turns out that they're the people who most dislike Donald Trump. So that gives you some clue about this. But I also think this, Shannon, I think this is important, that I look at people like Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci, for whom I have very high regard, and I think, these people got us out on this limb. The president listened to them. They were doing what they, to the best of their knowledge, thought was the right thing to do. It was a major wager, so to speak, and a drastic step. It isn't easy for anybody, any human being in that situation to say, oh, whoops, sorry, yeah, we kind of overstated this. The models were wrong. We paid too much attention to them for too long, and this isn't turning out to be as bad as we thought. That would be very, very hard for anybody to do. And I think, I don't question their good faith at all, but I think they may have made a very serious mistake.